everyone, welcome back to ktsessions. In previous session we saw how can we create our first flow in the Power Automate, and today we are going to explore the variables. So think of variables as containers that hold in different type of data such as text, numbers, states, or even other variables. They enable you to make your automation more flexible and reusable by allowing you to store and retrieve data at various points in your workflow. While developing flows, it is common to reuse information in multiple actions and update it based on certain conditions. For example, you might need to store some retrieved email and process them later in your flow. So Power Automate for desktop enables you to store this information for later use through variables. Power Automate for desktop automatically produced all the necessary variables that actions need, while it also enables you to create variables manually. In previous session, we saw created the variable button pressed. So to prevent the declaration of unnecessary variables, Power Automate for desktop produce variables automatically for the deployed action. Every time you add a new action in the workspace, the platform automatically produces some variables that hold the results. If you want to change the default name of a produced variable, you can select it and populate the new name. So as I said in previous session, we saw it has produced one variable. There are two things. In all the actions, it will create the variables automatically. And if you want to create variable manually, so what you can do is you can go to this action pane, and here you can expand this and scroll down. At the end you can see this action set variable. So just drag drop this, and here you can see variable. This is the name of the variable and this is the value. It will automatically assign a name to this, a new var, but I want to rename it, so I will double click on it, or a single click is also fine. And here I will give the name. So I want to keep a name file path. Okay. And here I will give the value. We have set the value of a new variable, and similarly we can set the value of an existing variable using this action. Okay, I will click on save. And as soon as I create this variable, so here in the variable pane, we can see this under flow variables file path. This is how we can create a variable. And as I said, whenever we use any action, it will automatically create a variable. Even in this set variable also, it has created a variable. The name was already there. All the variables which we use locally in our flows, those are called as flow variables, and we can access them only through this flow. And regardless of the type of the used variable, we can display additional information about them by clicking on their name. If you want to rename this variable, we can go to this flow variables, and here we will click on these three dots, and we can click on rename, and we can simply rename this variable. And if you have a long list, if you have a lot of variables, so you can use this filter to apply the filter so that you will get the variables of a particular type. For example, I want to filter out all the variables of text type, so I will check this. So it will show the list of all the variables of text type. And we have one more action, and also we can find the uses of this variable, means where we are using this. So for example, we are using this in line number 1, assign action. So here we can see this. If we are using this in multiple actions, so we can see the other actions here. We can see the details of those actions here. In case we develop complicated flows with the numerous variables, we can use this filter button to filter the displayed variables. So we can display variables of specific data type. So as of now, we have only one variable of text type, so we can see only this. And if we create multiple variables of multiple data types, so we can see all the data types here, and we can apply the filters and find the variables of a particular data type. So if I talk about variables data type, so whenever we create a variable in our flows, for example, if we have created this variable, so Power Automate converts them to a specific type based on their content. So in this, we have this text content, so the data type is text. And if we give number, and let me save this. So see, we can't see any variable in the flow variable because we have applied the filter. See, now in the filter we can see two types, a text value, numeric value. Let me uncheck this and check this numeric value, so we can see this file paths. And when we go back to the filters again, the text value has removed because we are not we don't have any variable of text value, text type. So Power Automate will automatically assign the data type to the variable as per their content. And this Power Automate supports more than 40 distinct data types, and enables us to convert variables between each one of them by just changing the content. As I just change the content, the data type has automatically get changed. We can, in value also we can use the variable. See the file bar. And if I talk about advanced data types, so we have list, we have data tables, we have JSON format, custom objects, etc. And here you can see this is all about simple variables. So just you can use a set variable and you can assign the value, and that's it. You have successfully created a variable, and you can use that variable in your flow. And if I talk about input and output variables, so while Power Automate can work autonomously, so if you want to exchange the data with other products of the Power Platform or the other flows, so we can use these input output variables to exchange the data. So with using these variables, we can pass data to and from Power Automate. To create an input or output variable, we can click on this plus button in the variable pane, and we can choose the respective button. For example, respective option. If I want to create a input variable, I will select input. For output, I will select the output. Let me create one input variable, and in the appear dialog box, you have to populate various fields such as the variable name, data type, default value, external name, description. So for example, if I give new input, new variables, and data type, you can select data type here, text, number, boolean, custom object, list, data table. Okay, and default value, if you want to give any default value, and external name. So variable name represent the variable's name in the flow, and while the external name represent the name used outside the flow in Power Automate. And we can click on save. So we have successfully created a new input type of a new input variable. Similarly, we can create a new output variable. And let's use this variable. So for example, if we have one variable and it contains the path of a file. For example, we have one variable and it contains the path of a folder, and let me save this. And I want to use this variable in a message box. So I will use this display message action, and here I will give the title, my box message to display. So here I don't want to write the message, I want to use a variable which is file path. So I will click on this select variable button, and here you can see we have two variables. One is input output and one is flow variable. And I will use this file path variable. Just I will double click on it. We can see that variable name needs to be enclosed in the percentage character to make the platform interpret it as a variable. Because if I don't give this percentage sign and if I give only this one, So now this will become a string, simple text. File path is this. So now it will treat it as a text, not as a variable. So that's why we need to give percentage sign so that Power Automate can interpret it as a variable. So if you want to use a percentage sign as a simple character in a hard-coded text, you have to combine it with the backslash character. So you can use this backslash and then percentage sign. Given this variable name in the message box, let me save this and run the board. So here we go, we are getting this message box and it contains the path. Now, this is the simple thing, it is printing the value of the variable. And when we go to this variable, when we go to this message box, and if I click on this select variable, and here you can see all the variables which we are using in this flow. And when we expand the variable, we can see these actions or these methods. For example, if I want to check the length of this variable, so I can select this file path dot length. And similarly, if I want to perform any other action, means I want to convert this to the uppercase, so I can use this one to uppercase, to lowercase, trimmed. If I want to trim it, if I want to trim it. So here, these are the actions based on the data type you can use. Because the data type is string, you can see this ABC. So that means this is a text type of variable. So now this will give the length of the file path. See, 74. This is the length of the file path. So now if I create one more variable, I will search for set variable action. And here I will give the variable name x and value is 100. Let me save this. And in the second set variable, I will create one more variable which will be y. Let me save this. Let me delete this display message, and let me create one more variable, sum. Okay, so now I want to calculate the sum of x and y. So what I will do is I will select the x and I will do the plus y. Okay, now let's see whether it will work or not. I have given this expression x plus y. Okay, so now let me run the board. See, there you can see 100 plus 200, but you can see the values here. Let me use the message box to print the values as well. So you can perform any arithmetic operation, you can perform any logical operation in this. I want to print this value of the sum variable. So let me run the board. And here you can see once the board will run, it will initialize the values here. See, we are getting 100 plus 200. Means board is treating it as a string 100 plus 200, but we should get 300. So for that, what we can do is we can give the expression. If you want to do basic arithmetic, so what we can do is we are using a percentage sign, and here what we will do is x plus y. Okay, let me save this and run the board. Now you can see we are getting 300. So this is how we can perform basic arithmetic operations in the set variable action. You can give multiple expression also. Means x plus y plus x multiply y minus x and run the flow. See, we are getting 20,200. So this is how we can perform arithmetic operation. And in addition to arithmetic operations, we can also make comparisons using the relational operator like less than, greater than, equals to, not equals to, all those things. Let me show you one example. So in this one, what we can do is if x is greater than y. So here this we have renamed the variable, so we need to change the name is greater. Let me run the flow. This x is not greater than y, so let's see what we will get. And here we go, we are getting false. Similarly, we can perform logical operations also. Means if x is greater than y or y is greater than x. You can use OR operator, AND operator. So let me run the board. Now one condition is true, either this or this. So we are getting true. So we can perform multiple operations in this. And if I am creating a complex expression and I want to perform a specific, I want to prioritize some specific parts of them, then we can to change an operator's priority, we can use parentheses. Means if I want to, like in the previous example, we did multiple calculations like x multiply y plus x minus y plus x. So now I want to perform this multiplication. No, I want to perform this addition. First, I want to prioritize this addition. So I will give the parenthesis. Okay, and run the flow. See, we are getting minus 3900, minus 39,900. And if I remove this parenthesis, now we are getting this value in the positive 39,900. Here we are getting negative value. So if you want to give priority, you can use parenthesis. Now let's talk about sensitive variables. While running desktop flows through the Flow Designer, we can review the values of all deployed variables. As you can see, we can review the values of all the deployed variables. And this functionality makes debugging more straightforward because when we are debugging, we can easily see the value. No need to open the variable or no need to go somewhere and check the values. We can see the values of all the variables. And because so there is the benefit of because all the values are getting displayed. So this is one of the benefit. But if we are using some sensitive information, then if any of the variable is storing any sensitive information, then that must not be visible for security reason. For example, I'm using a password in some of the variables, so it should not display. And Power Automate allow us to hide the content of a variable by marking it as a sensitive. So for example, I want to mark it as sensitive. So what I will do is I will just click on this, mark as sensitive. You can see this action. This is, and also we can go to this, and from here also we can mark it as sensitive. Just mark it as sensitive, it will not show the value. And once we mark it as sensitive, we can see the option mark as not sensitive. Okay, so now we have marked this as sensitive. When we run the board, when we run the flow, it will not show the value. Let me save the workflow. Sensitive variables can be manipulated, referenced, processed, and used in every action without any limitation, like every other variable. But we can't see the value of the sensitive variable. So is greater, this is a sensitive variable. You can see here the value is not displaying, and you can see this button pressed is showing OK because we are pressing the OK button. Alright, so this is all about variables in Power Automate. In upcoming sessions, we are going to use the variables because a flow is not complete without using a variable. I don't think we can create a flow without using a variable. Every flow contains at least one variable. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video till end. To let me know if you have any doubt or any question. In next session, we are going to explore one more amazing feature of the Power Automate. Thank you. Bye.